Treatment of aplastic anemia. So in the treatment of aplastic anemia, so if it is a severe acquired aplastic anemia, so this acquired aplastic anemia, so this can be cured by replacement of the absent hematopoietic cells and the immune system by stem cell transplant, or by it can be ameliorated by suppression of the immune system to allow recovery of the patient's residual bone marrow function. So how severe acquired aplastic anemia can be cured? So either it can be cured by stem cell transplant, that is, we replace all the absent hematopoietic cells, or this can be ameliorated by suppression of the immune system to allow recovery of the patient's residual bone marrow function, that is, we use here immunosuppressants. So this will allow the recovery of the patient's residual bone marrow function. So glucocorticoids, no, these are not of value as a primary therapy, and if there are any suspect exposure to drugs or chemicals, they should be discontinued. Any drugs or chemicals, suspected exposure to any drugs or chemicals, it should be discontinued. However, spontaneous recovery of severe blood count depression is rare, and a waiting period before beginning treatment may not be advisable unless the blood counts are only modestly depressed. Spontaneous recovery, so blood counts are severely depressed, so in that patient, spontaneous recovery of severe blood count depression is rare. Hematopoietic stem cell transplantation, so this is the first choice for younger patient with a fully histocompatible sibling donor. So younger patient is there, so he has got a histocompatible sibling donor. So for aplastic anemia younger patient, the first choice is hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. So HLA typing, this should be ordered as soon as a diagnosis is made. So immediately after diagnosis of aplastic anemia, so what should be done? HLA typing should be ordered in a child or in a younger adult. In transplant candidates, that is whoever the candidate is for transplantation, so transfusion of blood from family members should be avoided. So why a transfusion of blood from family members should be avoided? To prevent sensitization to histocompatibility antigens. So patient is diagnosed with aplastic anemia, so immediately after diagnosis, younger patient and transplant eligible patient, histocompatibility sibling donor if available. So then what has to be done? Hematopoietic stem cell transplantation is the first choice, and blood transfusion should be avoided from family members to prevent sensitization to histocompatibility antigens. In general, limited numbers of blood products probably do not greatly affect outcome, especially when blood products are depleted of leukocytes. In general, limited numbers of blood products, they do not greatly affect the outcome, especially when these blood products are depleted of leukocytes. So blood products should be depleted of leukocytes. And for allogenic transplant from fully matched siblings, long-term survival rates for children are 90%. So siblings are fully matched. Allogenic transplant from fully matched siblings, the match is full matched, so the long-term survival, see the survival rate, it is 90%. Transplant morbidity and mortality are increased among adults due to the higher risk of chronic graft versus host disease and infections. Nevertheless, transplant should be considered early in all but the most elderly, including from alternative donors. Most patients do not have a suitable sibling donor. So occasionally, a full phenotypic match can be found within the family and it serves as well. So we have this larger registries where matched unrelated donors are present. Transplant morbidity and mortality in adults. So this is increased due to higher risk of chronic graft versus host disease and infections. In fully matched siblings, long-term survival rate for children is 90%. So transplant should be considered early in all but the most elderly from alternative donors, because most patients, they do not have a suitable sibling donor. Sometimes a full phenotypic match can be found within the family and it can serve as well. And matched unrelated donors, that is there will be large registries, so there will be matched unrelated donors, so they are available for majority of the Caucasian patients. So with high resolution matching at HLA, so if high resolution matching is done at HLA, so outcomes are similar to those with sibling donors. Sibling donors and high resolution HLA matching from unrelated donor. So if high resolution matching is done for HLA, so what happens? Outcome is similar, but although the complication with this unrelated donors is mainly graft versus host disease and infection or more frequent. Cord blood also can be source of stem cells, especially for children. For children, even cord blood can also be a source of stem cell. Matched but unrelated donor transplants are often considered as initial treatment in children and as salvage therapy for adults after failed immunosuppression. See, adults, they are given immunosuppression, but in spite of that, therapy has failed. So matched unrelated donor, not related but matched unrelated donor transplant, so they are often considered as an initial treatment in children and also in salvage therapy for adults after failed immunosuppression. So transplantation from an HLA haploidentical family donor is increasingly popular. Donor is almost always quickly available. Now we also have a transplantation from a HLA haploidentical family donor. It is increasingly popular. This large experience of HLA haploidentical family donor, it is large experiences in China where lymphocyte depletion, so this is usually performed before donor cell infusion. So before donor cell infusion, lymphocyte depletion is done. And after transplant, post-transplant cyclophosphamide is given. So this appears effective in preventing graft versus host disease. So there is a large experience in China where lymphocyte depletion, it is usually performed before donor cell infusion and post-transplant cyclophosphamide. So this appears effective. So transfusion is done after lymphocyte depletion and after post-transplantation cyclophosphamide is given. Transplant protocols for marrow failure now usually do not include radiation in order to avoid late occurrence of cancer. So nowadays this transplant protocols, it does not include radiation in order to avoid the late occurrence of cancer. Then we have immunosuppression. So the standard regimen of anti-thymocyte globulin in combination with cyclosporine, that is if patient are not affordable for HSCT, so then the standard regimen will be immunosuppression, anti-thymocyte globulin in combination with cyclosporine. So this induces hematological recovery. So what it will do, it will cause independence from transfusion and a leukocyte count adequate to prevent infection, because in aplastic anemia there will be pancytopenia. So this causes independence from transfusion and also a leukocyte count which is adequate to prevent infection in 60 to 70% of patients. And children do especially well, whereas older adult patients can suffer complications due to the presence of comorbidities. So if this immunosuppressive therapy with ATG along with the cyclosporine, if it is given, children, no, they do especially well, but older adult patients, no, they suffer complications because of the presence of comorbidities. And after giving this cyclosporin along with ATG, so early robust hematological response, so this correlates with long-term survival. After giving the treatment, if there is a robust hematological response, so this correlates with long-term survival. And improvement in granulocyte number, so this is generally apparent within 2 months of treatment. So within 2 months of treatment, granulocyte number is increased. Most recovered patients continue to have some degree of blood count depression. Though patients have recovered with this ATG along with cyclosporin, but they have some degree of count depression. The MCV, it remains elevated. Some degree of blood count depression will be there. MCV, it will remain elevated, and bone marrow cellularity returns towards normal very slowly. If at all, if bone marrow cellularity, if it returns normal, but it returns very slowly. And with this ATG and cyclosporin, relapse, that is recurrent pancytopenia, is frequent, occurring as cyclosporin is tapered or discontinued. So relapse of this pancytopenia is frequent after cyclosporin is tapered or discontinued. And most but not all patients, most patients they respond to reinstitution of immunosuppression. Most patients they respond to reinstitution of immunosuppression, but some responders become dependent on continued cyclosporin administration. So few patients some responders, they become dependent on this continued cyclosporin administration. Clonal evolution, isolated chromosomal abnormalities or the development of MDS with typical cytogenetic aberrations and abnormal marrow morphology occurs in 15% of treated patients over a decade following initiation of ATG. You should see, after initiation of ATG, after a decade, what will happen is, this 15% of the patients, there happens a clonal evolution. That is, there will be isolated chromosomal abnormalities or the development of MDS will happen with typical cytogenetic aberrations and abnormal marrow morphology. So 15% of treated patients over a decade following initiation of ATG, they will develop this typical cytogenetic aberrations along with abnormal marrow morphology, and usually but not invariably associated with a return of pancytopenia. So in these patients, again there will be a return of pancytopenia, and some patients also might develop leukemia, and few patients may also develop leukemia. So a laboratory diagnosis of PNH can generally be made at the time of presentation of aplastic anemia by flow cytometry. So aplastic anemia, so PNH can occur in aplastic anemia. So a laboratory diagnosis of this PNH at the time of presentation of aplastic anemia, so it is done by flow cytometry. So what is the test for diagnosis for PNH? Flow cytometry. And recovered patients may have frank hemolysis if the PNH clone expands. So aplastic anemia is there, patient has recovered, PNH clone is there, and if that PNH clone expands, these patients can develop frank hemolysis if the PNH clone expands. Bone marrow examination should be performed if there is an unfavorable change in blood counts. So if some unfavorable change in blood counts is there, so then bone marrow examinations has to be performed if there is an unfavorable change in a blood count. Horse ATG, so this is administered as intravenous infusion, and this requires hospitalization. Horse ATG, intravenous infusion and hospitalization. Rabbit ATG is much less effective because it reduces T regulatory cell numbers. Rabbit ATG is not very effective. Why? Because it reduces T regulatory cell numbers. So then we have serum sickness. So this serum sickness, this is a flu-like illness with a characteristic cutaneous eruption and arthralgia. So this may develop 10 days after initiating treatment with ATG. Serum sickness. So this is nothing but a flu-like illness. So this has got a characteristic cutaneous eruption and arthralgia. So this may develop 10 days after initiating treatment. And methylprednisolone, so this is also administered with ATG. Why? Because to ameliorate the immune consequences of heterologous protein infusion. So to ameliorate the immune consequences of heterologous protein infusion, methylprednisolone is administered along with ATG. But if excessive or extended glucocorticoid therapy is given, so this will lead to avascular joint necrosis. Excessive or extended glucocorticoid therapy, so this will lead to avascular joint necrosis. Cyclosporin, so this is administered orally, initial high dose, and later subsequent adjustment will be according to the blood levels. So how cyclosporin is given? Administered orally at an initial high dose, and subsequent adjustment will be done according to the blood levels. The most important side effects of this cyclosporin are nephrotoxicity, hypertension, and seizures. So what are the side effects with cyclosporin? So these are nephrotoxicity, hypertension, and seizures. Most patients with aplastic anemia, they lack a suitable marrow donor, and immunosuppression is the treatment of choice. So what happens is, most patients with aplastic anemia, they lack a suitable marrow donor, and in those patients immunosuppression is the treatment of choice. Overall survival, it is equivalent with transplantation and immunosuppression. What is the overall survival? The overall survival is equivalent with transplantation and immunosuppression. However, successful transplant cures marrow failure, whereas patients who recover adequate blood counts after immunosuppression remain at risk of relapse and malignant evolution. So if we give successful transplantation, this will cause, it will cure the marrow failure, but patients who recover adequate blood counts after immunosuppression, so they have that risk of relapse and they have that risk of malignant evolution. So patients who recover adequate blood counts after immunosuppression, so they have risk of relapse and malignant evolution. Increasing age and severity of neutropenia, so these are the most important factors weighing in the decision between transplant and immunosuppression. In adults who have a matched family donor, so increasing age and severity of neutropenia, so these are the most important factors. So which weighs, like whether a patient should undergo transplant or a patient should undergo immunosuppression. Increasing age and severity of neutropenia, so these are the most important factors weighing in the decision between transplant and immunosuppression in adults, so who have a matched family donor. So older patients, they do better with ATG and cyclosporin. Older patients, they do better with ATG and cyclosporin, whereas transplant is preferred if neutropenia is profound. If patients are having profound neutropenia, so then transplant is preferred. L-thrombopac. So hematopoietic growth factors such as erythropoietin and granulocyte colony stimulating factors, so these are not effective in aplastic anemia. Why these are not effective? Because endogenous erythropoietin levels are extremely high in these patients. Endogenous levels are high. Circulating thrombopoietin is also elevated because of marrow failure. Even circulating thrombopoietin is also elevated. But if we give thrombopoietin mimetic, so this showed unexpected activity in refractory disease. So in refractory disease, giving this thrombopoietin mimetic, so this produces robust tri-lineage and usually durable hematological responses. So what has it caused? It produced robust tri-lineage and durable hematological responses. The mechanism of action of thrombopoietin mimetic. What is this thrombopoietin mimetic? It is L-thrombopac. So this is stimulation of the hematopoietic stem cell. Mainly it stimulates the hematopoietic stem cell, but iron chelation and increased regulatory T cells are also possible beneficial effects. So what are the possible beneficial effects with Eltrombopag? Iron chelation and increased regulatory T cells are also possibly beneficial effects. So Eltrombopag added to first line immunosuppression with horse ATG. So this markedly increased overall and complete response rates to about 80% and 50% respectively. So horse ATG along with Eltrombopag along with cyclosporin. So Eltrombopag added to first line immunosuppression with horse ATG. So this Eltrombopag increased overall and complete response rates to 80 and 50% respectively. So Eltrombopag, it is approved by the US Food and Drug Administration. So this is approved as a monotherapy for refractory aplastic anemia and in combination with horse ATG and cyclosporin as initial therapy. So this Eltrombopag, no, so this is approved by the US Food and Drug Administration. So this is used as monotherapy for refractory aplastic anemia and is also used in combination with horse ATG and cyclosporin as initial therapy. Transplant from a suitable donor is preferred in the young patient. Transplant from a suitable donor. So this is preferred in the young patient, whereas immunosuppression is preferred in the older adult. So in young patient, transplant is preferred and older patient immunosuppression is preferred. Even heavily transfused and infected patients in whom immunosuppression has failed, so these patients can be salvaged by stem cell transplant later. So first initially though a patient has undergone immunosuppression, so even later heavily transfused patients, they can also be salvaged by stem cell transplantation. Androgens. And the effectiveness of androgens has not been verified in controlled trials, but occasional patients, they respond to androgens or even demonstrate a blood count dependence on therapy. So what these androgens they does is sex hormones, they upregulate telomerase gene activity in vitro. So this is a possible mechanism of action in improving the marrow function. Okay, sex hormones, what does they do? These androgens, they upregulate the telomerase gene activity. So this is the possible mechanism of action in improving marrow function. For patients with moderate disease, so patients who are having moderate disease and especially if a telomere gene defect is present, a 3 to 4 month trial may improve all the blood counts. So patients having moderate disease and a telomere gene defect is present, so a 3 to 4 month trial may improve all the blood counts. And supportive care. So supportive care, so meticulous medical attention. First and most important thing is infection in the presence of severe neutropenia. So this infection has to be treated by parenteral broad spectrum antibiotics. So therapy should be empirical and we should not await the results of culture. So empirical therapy should be started and specific foci of infection, that is patient can have this oropharyngeal or anorectal abscess, pneumonia, sinusitis and typhlitis, necrotizing colitis should be sought on physical examination. Oropharyngeal or anorectal abscess, pneumonia, sinusitis and typhlitis, necrotizing colitis. So when indwelling plastic catheters become contaminated, vancomycin should be added. Indwelling plastic catheter contamination, vancomycin should be added. Even after giving empirical antibiotic therapy, if there is persistent or recrudescent fever, so this implies fungal disease. So what fungus are common? Persistent or recrudescent fever. Candida and Aspergillus are common, especially after several courses of antibacterial antibiotics. So fungal infections are also common. So a major reason for the improved prognosis in aplastic anemia because of the better antifungal drugs and timely institution of such therapy. So when infection is suspected, antifungal drugs, so this has improved the prognosis in aplastic anemia. So granulocyte transfusions can be effective when bacterial or fungal infection is progressive or refractory to antibiotics. So even after giving antibiotics, if the infection is progressive or if it is refractory, then granulocyte transfusions are also effective. Hand washing is the single best method to prevent the spread of the infection. But this hand washing, no, so this remains a neglected practice. And non-absorbed antibiotics for gut decontamination are poorly tolerated and unproven. So non-absorbed antibiotics for gut decontamination, these are unproven. And platelet and erythrocyte numbers, so this can be maintained by transfusion. So platelet transfusion and erythrocyte transfusion can be given. Alloimmunization historically limited the usefulness of platelet transfusion, and it is now minimized by several strategies. Because of this platelet transfusion, what will happen? Alloimmunization. So this alloimmunization, no, so this is now minimized by several strategies. So what are the strategies? Use of single donors. Instead of taking platelets from different donors, single donors to reduce the exposure, and physical or chemical methods. So in the product given, so leukocytes have to be diminished. And HLA matched platelets, so these are usually effective in patients refractory to random donor products. HLA matched platelets have to be given, single donors, and some physical or chemical methods to diminish the leukocytes in the product. And inhibitors of fibrinolysis such as aminocaproic acid, so this has not been shown to relieve the mucosal oozing. So the inhibitors of fibrinolysis, aminocaproic acid, this has not been shown to relieve mucosal oozing. So even use of low-dose glucocorticoids to induce vascular stability is unproven. So with prophylactic platelet transfusion, what is the goal? To maintain the platelet count greater than 10,000 per microliter. So what is the goal? With prophylactic platelet transfusion, the goal is to maintain the platelet count greater than 10,000 per microliter. And oozing from the gut increases sharply at counts less than 5,000 per microliter. So if platelet count, if it is less than 5,000 per microliter, oozing from the gut increases. Menstruation should be suppressed either by oral estrogens or nasal follicle stimulating hormone or luteinizing hormone antagonist. So menstruation should be suppressed either by oral estrogens or nasal follicle stimulating hormone or luteinizing hormone antagonist. Aspirin and other NSAID must be avoided in the presence of thrombocytopenia. So in the presence of thrombocytopenia, aspirin and other NSAID should be avoided. RBC should be transfused so as to allow a patient a normal level of activity. So RBCs also should be transfused because patient has to maintain a normal level of activity. HB should be around 70 grams per liter, and if there is a cardiac or pulmonary disease, it should be maintained around 90 grams per liter. And if any cardiac or pulmonary disease is there, 90 grams per liter. A regimen of 2 units every 2 weeks. Okay. PRBCs 2 units every 2 weeks will replace normal losses in a patient without a functioning bone marrow. So patient who are not having a functioning bone marrow, 2 units every 2 weeks will replace normal losses. In chronic anemia, the iron chelators, deferoxamine and deferasirox, should be added at approximately the 50th transfusion to avoid secondary hemochromatosis. To avoid the secondary hemochromatosis, iron chelator. So what are these iron chelators? So these are deferoxamine and deferasirox. So they should be added at approximately the 50th transfusion to avoid the secondary hemochromatosis.